Welcome back to Mystical Sisterhood, where joy, healing, and community meet. Today's guests are Becca and Leah Weiser, the amazing sisters who run a Weiser website. A Weiser website is a full service offering custom website, design, branding and strategy, copywriting and content, and search engine optimization. It's probably only a few things that you guys really do. And Becca and Leah are also the co-creators of Womaze, an app available for free download. It covers so much goodness that I can't even begin to say right now everything it encompasses, but we're going to talk about that today too. So as an introduction, Becca and Leah approached me almost 2 years ago and said, "Hi, this is who we are. Are you by any chance looking for a website redesign?" And it came into my inbox at the perfect time. And I think if I remember correctly, I was an immediate yes. I knew that I was very aligned with Becca and Leah, and I knew that the sort of what they were offering was exactly what I needed to at that time to get my message across, I guess is the easiest way to say it. So they've been by my side. And are helping me grow the dream of mystical sisterhood. And they're one of the first people that I told, hey guys, what do you think about this? And it's been a resounding yes from them constantly since that time. So for that, I'm so grateful and thank you. And I feel that you're really my soul partners on this journey. So as you're getting to know me in this podcast, my listeners, is that my intention really was primarily joy and healing and community. But the other thing that I'm really tapped into is supporting women, women-owned businesses, women working with deep intention about how they want to serve and support, and really kind of be there for each other to look at, oh, this is what she's doing over here or what they're doing over here. How can we just be in the energetic space of creation and support our each other's growth and transformation? And we know any of us that are on, or any of you listeners that are on a journey of creating something new in your life, it is quite a journey. And it's got stops and starts and growth and step back and figuring a lot out. So we really need each other in this space as well. So I want to say a big welcome to Becca and Leah, and let's dive right in. So we can start with just tell us about yourself and how you came to be here and what your business is all about to begin with.
Yes. Well, first of all, that was such a beautiful, beautiful introduction. And I really do believe that we meet exactly who we're meant to meet in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no accident that we connected. And it's been such a blessing to see you evolve and to witness mystical sisterhood being brought to life. So I wanted to say thank you for letting us be a part of this journey.
Thank you. Yes.
You're a huge inspiration to us, and we're just so honored to be here.
Oh, wow. Me too. Yeah.
And to answer your question, so kind of how did we get to this place? There's so many parts that lead to that answer. It's probably one of the big questions that we're always asking ourselves, right? As human beings, like, who am I? Who are we? So I'll try to sum it up. So we're sisters, we're twin sisters, we're the founders of a Wiser website, like you said. And I really do see that as just a kind of a small part of who we are, right? I think something that we all talk about is we're souls, we come into this body, we have different experiences. And one of the things that we're doing on this planet is helping people bring their dreams to life. And a huge part of that is through how they're presented online. So we live in a world where pretty much the first thing that I definitely do, and that a lot of people I would imagine do, is when we hear about something new, we go online, we search it immediately, and we find out about it. And that's why it's such a gift to be able to help our clients brand themselves and present themselves online through their websites, through their branding, through their marketing, in a way that really reflects their highest expression. I think so often when we're able to walk through the world, whether it's, in how we present ourselves physically and online, when we feel really confident about how we're being shown, we present ourselves in a different way. And I think even just seeing how you've evolved over the past few years and seeing the transformation that's taken place, on your website, on your social media, that's truly a reflection of you internally, and the fact that you're stepping into your power, you're being seen, and you're letting yourself be seen and share your message. So that's a huge part of what we do.
I love that so much. I think of right away that you have a very soul centered business model, which is a beautiful thing. And I think it's being called for now.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a invitation that you have there for anyone that will decide to work with you. Is just like, we care about the client so much. Like what you're saying is like, yes, there's this outer form world piece of what we need to do, but we are so much bigger than that.
Mhm.
And I hear you saying that part of how you view even your business is, we're going to help escort you through that process, and we're going to tease apart those parts who you are, um, in order to let that part of you shine. And then I feel like that too, when you support people in doing that, it's just a like an avenue or a path for continued growth. It's
Mhm.
like a really so we can think about sometimes too, like people might walk through and say, oh, I just need to make a website.
Mhm.
But it's just not as simple as that. It can be, but it can also be this really expansive experience.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we tend to attract clients who have similar philosophies and views and energies. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes a project could appear just, come in for a website, need something to put online. But oftentimes the people that we work with, and you're the perfect example, we do have a lot of just intentions and aspirations for who we are in this world. And a
Yeah.
lot of that um, is just showcased in how we do the whole website design process. It's like what you said before, we're partners. We're on this journey together, and we're doing this from a really intentional place.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it also feels so values driven. And so do you think about that in your business, that, here are our core values? Because I hear you talking a lot about almost like more spiritual concepts and more expansive and abundant and supportive and connective. And so for you, what are the kind of values that you two built built this company on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the main thing that we're always focused on is helping people feel supported. I think it's
Mm,
in whatever we do in life, I think that's really at the core. We want to help people feel really taken care of. And right now it's through, this oftentimes vulnerable experience of launching a website, because, it can be vulnerable to put yourself out there, and it is a brave thing. And we think that, being on this journey with people as
mm,
they really step into their power, it's such an opportunity to really take care of people and to show them that they can do this and that it's exciting. And we're right there along them, right alongside them. And another really big value that we have is being very intentional with what we do.
mhm.
It's not about just creating an end result product. It's really about the entire experience and making sure that throughout the whole process of designing the website, it all feels very aligned to what the
Mm,
client's goal is.
mhm.
And we'll put on abundance frequencies and different things like that to really make sure that we're in a really positive headspace, because it's also about the energy that we're putting behind the website.
Yeah.
We're so aware of that. It's the energy of the creation of the start of a new chapter for our clients. We want to make sure that we're setting the scene to really just create a lot of magic happen.
Oh, I love that, Leah. It's all so beautiful. And I like that visual of It's not just like, oh, we're at the computer doing these things and being creative, but it's an energetic space. So it's
100%.
almost like for your clients, it feels very sacred and
Mhm.
it feels like you're holding an energy for them.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that we're entrusted with, and we take it very seriously, and we want to really make sure that we, really honor that.
Yeah.
And
I love that. And it makes me think of, you said the word vulnerable,
Mhm.
and how it is a vulnerable process. And for many of us, it can feel very exposing. It
Yeah.
can, like, wow, there was a time for me, you two know this, when I first went to start my business, I called it well in the moment.
Mhm.
I was in no way ready to use my name
Yeah.
on that masthead for that website. And at the time, I take you back only like 2.5 years ago, that was.
Mhm.
Um, when you went in to do the redesign for me, I was moving in my own mind towards that possibility of
Yeah.
using my own name. But I really like that part because people, like, even for our listeners who are, kind of maybe struggling with some of these things about what should I name it? And it's okay to name your business something else, but it's also okay to step into that your name. And a lot of people are doing that these days. So I know it can go both ways, but I just want to speak to our listeners that might be somewhere in that vulnerable process, and how you can see that for people and create a safety around it for them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm. Thank you for saying that. And again, it's been such an honor to witness your evolution and you just fully owning, whether it's even using the name of who you are. I think it's been so inspiring for us. And it really, that's my favorite part of what we do, just getting to witness our clients
Hmm.
just owning their value, raising their prices,
Hmm.
knowing their worth. And you are just such an inspiration to us. I hope you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I think it's that piece too that you, I'm thinking I had the experience, but when someone comes to you, you kind of like lay the seeds, you're kind of saying, oh, we could do this or that. And then that gets into someone's mind as a possibility. And I always find that space between, like, just the offering of something, and then the light can come on it. People decide, it's their process. Does that make sense? Um,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
and it's that path of growth almost,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
meet them where they're at, I'm sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
really partners with our clients. We don't see it as only a business relationship. It's really, we love motivating people, and we're big dreamers. So, I
Mm,
remember being, in high school or even younger, and our friends would, express to us that they wanted to either start a business or do something that wasn't in the traditional realm of what either, they or their parents had, envisioned for them. We've always been ones to just say, go for it. And,
wow.
even though it oftentimes can be unrealistic, a lot of the things that we have ourselves been able to do, and just the goals that we put in place are often, to, I guess, society standards, maybe unrealistic, but we've always been ones to just kind of try to go past what, what might be expected or realistic, and just go for it.
I love that, Leah. It's so beautiful. And we're conditioned to believe that there's a ceiling that we can, that is there, and we can't go above it. And so that's an inspiration to me too, to be talking with you today, to be able to have the privilege of working with you, um, to know that you are dreamers and you hold that space for people. That's huge. And
Definitely.
I'm intrigued by the fact that that was something that came up for you. You remember when you were younger. Do you think
Mhm.
that that's something um, that was fostered in your house growing up, or is it really just unique to the two of you? Um, what do you think?
Definitely. we grew up in a home that was, I guess now it probably wouldn't be as unique, but we were raised vegetarian since birth. We've never had meat. We've, grew up watching and listening to Wayne Dyer books and a lot of spiritual books and things that at the time our friends weren't necessarily exposed to. So we were always aware that there were kind of infinite possibilities. My parents definitely always had us dream. We were raised Jewish and we're not religious, we're more spiritual. But my parents had a practice of having us keep Shabbat, which means that they wouldn't have us watch TV or be on any technology on Saturdays. And that was kind of the day that we would just all spend time together, and we would have to, entertain ourselves without technology. And during that time, we would write stories and we'd make up plays, and we were
Wow.
just very creative. And we talk about that a lot. We reflect on that because I think having all of those Saturdays throughout our childhood, we just had to get really creative and not rely on our iPads or on things that I think today we're so plugged in. And I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to experience some of our childhood, or most of our childhood, without just being plugged in. And now I'm hoping that I'm answering your question. I'm getting a little back here.
No, it's great, Becca. I love it. And I didn't know that about the house that you grew up in, that it was a place that had a lot of possibilities, being sort of just again, the energy of that offering. And I mean, you have your experience of whether or not people you've met along the journey had those experiences. I think that they are harder to come by. And I think that it's one of those things right now, because you two know that I studied conscious parenting. I was thinking about it the other day, like, oh, there is such a need for that. And also, um, that idea of being unplugged and this time to dream. And I was thinking just recently too that our kids need the things that calm their nervous system, like the younger generation now, and the time away from the technology, but they also need the inspiration to dream and to
Yeah.
be inspired, because we we're breaking out of this time where there are limits, where there like people are beginning to know the possibilities, but not, I feel like not yet to the masses. They're still like in the ethers, it's not all out there. So the more of us who can kind of spread that message and spread the light. But
Yeah.
I love that too, just with your origin story of that this really laid the foundation for who you are. And
Yeah.
going back to, your beginning kind of intro of the business is part of our multi-dimensional beings, but it's a segment. It's not all who we are. It's what we do, but we do a lot of other things, and we are a lot of other things.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that really did come up and just influence what you're creating now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It definitely did. And I think, not to go off too far into a tangent, but I think one of the things that we reflect on a lot together, and I'm a big advocate for therapy, and I've definitely, spent quite a bit of time understanding this as well. But we were always raised knowing that, as when my mom was pregnant with both of us were very sick, and the doctors, said that we probably wouldn't make it, and it was a very not a good prognosis. And my mom, always from a young age, we knew that we were here for a reason, and that every human being on this planet is here for a reason.
Yeah.
But, for better or for worse, we were 4 years old already knowing, okay, we have a mission on this planet. We are here for a reason.
Mhm.
Uh, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. that's to have that from a young age. I'm it's funny, my kids are older now, and a lot of those things I'm learning in the last, 5, 6, 7 years kind of. And then I'm implementing it more because it's so necessary. And that idea, that is something that you bring to your clients as well. That what is your uniqueness? What is your greatness? What is your zone of genius? Like all those things that you're seeking to kind of bring out if it's, in all those forms.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such an inspiration, the two of you too. I love hearing all the background. I feel like it's so necessary to kind of understand. And then, yeah, just what you're creating is so beautiful. So then, I wanted to ask you, what are the gifts of working together as sisters?
Well, there's really so many, especially as twins. I think it's it's really all that we know is working as a team from the time
Mhm.
we, you know, were in existence.
Yeah.
We've always had each other. And I think our relationship is something that we really value and we also work towards. We've been, I think, being in business together is a really unique opportunity to become experts in communication and
Mm,
be honest with each other and really have an amazing foundation for our relationship because we value each other a lot. I think before we started this business, I think we wanted to make sure that the two of us felt really comfortable and that our relationship wouldn't be impacted in any way because it's always
mhm,
an interesting thing doing that. And one of the gifts of being sisters and working together is that we know each other so well.
mhm,
So we're also very aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses and where we might be able to fill in the gaps for each other. And Becca is a master at communication and relationship building and all of these amazing things that for me, I'm more of the creative side. I do more of the design and more of the visual aspect. And that's something that when the two of us come together, it's it's amazing because we each have our own strengths and we're able to really tap into that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to do what we do is because we're so familiar with each other's strengths and we're able
mhm.
to really amplify that in the business.
Yeah, I love that, Leah. It feels pretty magical to me.
Yeah, it's definitely, we get into a flow state,
Yeah.
and I think that's always a great feeling, whether individually or collectively, when you're in that space where it's like time just doesn't, it just goes and you're like, where did the time go? And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we're designing websites, and like Leah said, she's definitely more of the creative director and spearheads that process. And when we do come together and we design together also, there's just kind of a magic that happens. And sometimes to an outsider, it might sound a little, out there,
Yeah.
but I think as twins, we do communicate in almost a different way, and we
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
kind of just like, I'll forget if I said something out loud or if I just like,
Yeah.
not necessarily that we're communicating telepathically, I wouldn't go that far, but there's definitely just a cool way that we can communicate creatively. And I also just want to emphasize, like Leah said, that it's definitely a practice. As identical twins, it's very easy to be put into a box and people can think that you're, just kind of like the same person and don't really have
Mhm.
your own traits. And we're very clear, in our individual lives about building our own identities. But I think that there really is a magic when it comes to the business. I think we do just make great business partners,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think our clients benefit from that. So it
Mm.
worked out really beautifully, and there's definitely a lot more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I'm thinking too, you've been in business. I don't even know how many years it's been now. And, when we think about the woman out there that has a dream that's untapped.
Mhm.
So, this is just about the dream that we have in our lifetime that maybe we've had whispers of, or, you have a day job, but you're always attracted to that. And and then you think, oh, I couldn't never do that, or I couldn't possibly, or, what do you have to say to that person who has the dream, and kind of just even from that place of the possibilities, or that it's not a responsibility, but it is something that's calling out to be expressed. It's not just a dream. But yeah, can you kind of speak to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said this quote, but it was something that really stuck with me. Unused creativity is not benign. That there is, we're obligated, whatever's inside of us, there's, whether it's a creative expression, a message that we want to share. I do feel like if it's held in, it's not good, just like how any suppressed feeling or
Mm-hmm.
any suppressed anything isn't good. And I would also just say that compassion, that's my North Star, just self-compassion, knowing that we live in a world that, especially for women, tells us from a very young age that we need to follow the path that's been set out for us. So it's, the first thing is just compassion for understanding why we might have resistance to it in the first place. And instead of spiraling into shame and being like, why are all of these other people able to do it? And I'm scared, just really having compassion for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for the many expanders in my life. And by expanders, I just mean people who have shown me what's possible. I'm, both of us are 25. And ever since I was little, I was always wanting to speak to women who were older than me. I wanted to be in the conversations with my mom and her
Mm-hmm.
friends. I wanted to hear what they were talking about. I was always so intrigued hearing them and hearing women of all different stages of life talk about things that, if I could learn at an earlier age, you know, what doors would that open?
Wow.
And one of the things that I would hear over and over again is, one, just the feeling of living life for other people. I would hear that again and again, whether it's listening to my mom's friends, whether it's, I have friends of all different ages. I have friends who are, in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I really value that. And whether it's listening to podcasts, there was such a core theme of women realizing at somewhat, of a middle age or older on, that they've been living for other people and that they have these dreams that they haven't invested in yet.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's kind of like ripping off a band-aid, and it's like this illusion is shattered when you realize, wait, the only thing that's really stopping me from giving myself a chance is me. Yes,
Yeah.
there's these, ideas and societal constructs, but at the end of the day, there's people out there doing it. There's expanders that I can look towards and say, okay, she's done it, they've done it, maybe I can do it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Becca, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And yeah,
it can
go ahead,
start
Leah.
small.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think something that isn't promoted as much is that it doesn't need to be this, at the beginning at least, this big grand gesture of quitting your job and starting a new life. And how it looks in the movies, when you have something on your heart, it doesn't matter if you just take one small step every single day, you're still working towards that goal. So I think it's still brave to take small steps towards that goal. And I want to make sure that that's not um, overlooked, because I think that really does make a difference.
Yeah, Aaliyah, I completely agree with that. And Yeah, it doesn't have to be the big colossal thing at the beginning. It could be, what are the two or three smaller things I can do? And it does, I feel like in that way, when we set the intention and we make the small steps, is that we're communing with the universe, that, we're putting out our desire, and we're saying what we want. And as women, not being afraid to say it. And I love the message because you were tuned in from a much earlier age than a lot of women. Um, and you really heard that in a way. You listened to the conversations and thought like, oh, how would this affect my life? And why is this here for me? And then just knowing at a younger age that you could begin to awaken everything within you and begin to express it. It's so beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will have to tell you that when I did the Conscious Parenting Institute with Dr. Shafali, most of the women that come, she would say, most of you are in your 50s, more like 40, or 50s more than 40s, but in that age range. And I remember my cohort was really big. It was 140 people. And there were very, very, very few people in their 20s. And she'd say, if that awakening's happening in the 20s, bravo. I mean, it's so beautiful. But I just listening to you share your story and all your values and just the things that guide you is, gosh, I don't know how much speaking you're doing on stages or that kind of thing, but I would think that that could be really inspiring for, different groups and especially young women.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think we've spoken about for sure, and I know about your own journey, is that sometimes challenges can kind of be the portal to a
Mhm.
lot of awakening and growth.
Mhm.
And I do feel the need to just mention that a lot of this understanding at a young age came from having a lot of anxiety and having health issues and having things that really forced me to have no other option to look within, and start doing this work early, just
Mhm.
because of whether it's, mental health. And like I said, I had a lot of health issues, autoimmune issues, and I can now reflect back and see, okay, that was just really forcing me to look within, um, ASAP, because we've
Yeah.
got a lot to do in this lifetime. And um, that's something that I've been inspired by with your story too, that you've taken opportunities that can be really challenging and just made them so beautiful and rich, and
Mm.
are
Yeah.
helping so many people because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good point. And that the things that we walk through, and they are there for the invitation to grow. And if we just are open to it just a little bit, it can be the beginning of a lot of just inner evolution. And like you're saying, like just creating, one of my, I think my, a big overhead for me in this life is to be fully expressed, to know that I was fully expressed, but also that that's for me, but on that inside, just that safety of consciousness. And like you're talking about, like that self-compassion and those qualities that really grow us on the inside. And then we can give more, from such a full place.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's
I
so
love that.
beautiful.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch upon your beautiful app.
Mm,
And if I'm saying it correctly, it's called Womaze. Is that correct?
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yes. So Womaze is a free app for mental health and self-care. And I would definitely say that that was a catalyst for just so much personal growth, um, and kind of our introduction into the world of launching a business, launching
Mm.
a mission-driven company. And we started the app about 5 years ago. I think it's been 5 years at this point, with our mom and our younger sister. Our mom is trained as a mental health counselor, and it was just always a very big part of the conversation in our household. Just, self-esteem, confidence, anxiety. That was a normal part of the dialogue that we had in our house. That doesn't mean that we were exempt from anxieties, and we definitely still had our challenges, of course, just like any other teen, and human being for that matter. But quite a few things led to us realizing, okay, let's start an app, and kind of going along with what we were talking about before with just doing it, having an idea and having a dream and going for it. Leah and I were studying, and we were both in college at the time. We ended up synchronistically getting investors, finding app developers, and everything kind of started falling into place pretty miraculously, to be honest. And we ended up leaving college to pursue Womaze full time. And throughout that whole experience, we're just able to reach, so many people, especially
Wow.
during the pandemic. People are struggling and with mental health, and I'm so proud of the work that we've been able to do, and just so inspired by our community and the stories that we've heard. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the app is completely free, so it's accessible for anyone. It's on Apple and Android, and it's definitely been a beautiful, beautiful gift that we've been able to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's got areas for mental health, body love. I think you've got spirituality. There's many categories that you can tap into. And then you have videos, I think articles, and just really supporting documents. It's, yeah. Who have you found that your target audience has been? Has it been younger women or individuals or wide range?
I think more than an actual demographic, it's more of a type of person who just
Mm,
wants support and
yeah.
just wants to remember that they're loved and accepted and have tools to scroll through. We say that it's kind of like a positive, it's a positive place to scroll. And more than positive also, because let me rephrase that, because we're talking about hard things too. We're talking about depression, anxiety, we're talking about mental health. Um, it's it's a space that's been curated for you. Like you said, Maureen, it's videos, articles, podcasts, quotes, all of these different tools from around the web that we are hand curating for our community. So just like how you would send, a great podcast, like your new podcast, Maureen, to a friend and say, hey, I thought about you. I think this could really, you know, maybe bring you some insight. That's what this whole app is. It's really
Mhm.
just friends sharing with friends things that we think will be helpful, and it's all organized by different categories, like you said,
Yeah.
body image. We have a whole channel for spirituality, a channel for relationships, and it just encompasses a lot of the different aspects of life that we all go through. And you're able to make your own toolbox so that you can go back to at any point. And I'm really proud of it. It's an app that's just here to remind you that you're not alone.
Yes. Yeah. I love that, Becca. And just such gratitude for you creating it with your younger sister and your mom too. And that is probably one of the reasons that I align with you so much, both of you, and what you stand for is because you can have the infinite possibilities and sort of that word positivity, but that infinite possibilities, the abundance and all these things. But I've always known that those don't exist in a vacuum, and that the healing components of it, they're so necessary. Like you named before, like therapy, just nourishing ourselves however we need to, whatever works for us individually, but that it's not just one. I truly believe that hand in hand is where that can work magic.
100%. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, as we wrap up, where can my listeners find you and reach out to you?
Well, for Womaze, the app is free on Apple and Android, and you can find us at womaze.com. That's WOMAZE. And then for our website company that's a Wiser website. Our last name's Wiser. So awiserwebsite.com. We offer several different packages, and we just love working with anyone who is ready to elevate their business, bring their dreams to life. And we also are on Instagram for a Wiser website. And I think that's the
Yeah.
yeah,
It's all the channels.
I think we've
Yeah.
covered all of
I
it.
love it. Yeah. I thank you too so much for being with me today and just spreading your light and sharing just all the wisdom and information that you have for our listeners, and just to kind of amplify just these beautiful messages that you stand for, really. And really standing up for, you can do it. You can, have these things that maybe have been in your dreams, and to step into them and just live life more fully.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We adore
Yeah.
you.
Always such
Uh,
a joy.
okay. Well, it's been so great. Yeah. And so it's been a pleasure, and we'll be catching up with you soon. And to my Mystical Sisterhood listeners, I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mystical Sisterhood. To learn more about my one-on-one coaching programs or join the Mystical Sisterhood membership, visit maureenspielman.com or mysticalsisterhood.com. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.